So we got my friend Christian today on the Virgin Martyr, Pablo Quinones, and the funny part is that we had not seen each other for, what do you say, like 10
More
years?
than 10 years, yeah.
Yeah. And we first knew each other in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And out of nowhere one day, outside of a Planet Fitness, I was walking back to my car and I hear somebody say Pablo or something to grab my attention. And I look over and it's this fool who I had not seen in any context.
Mm-hmm.
We had not even spoken in that much time. And I didn't even know he lived in Texas. So the coincidence was just astounding to me. And nowadays, when something good happens, I try to take advantage of it. So we made a plan to hang out, have dinner, and I thought, why not record a little podcast here too? Now that I've got him and we got a little time.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically to my audience, I'm all about like the self-improvement. I have been for a while, but I remember like I'm not to insult you or anything, but like when you're a little kid, you're pudgy.
I'm insulted. No, yeah, I was a little chubby. I was overweight a little bit.
And then there was another gap where we didn't see each other for a while, and then I just saw you become like a dude with muscles.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was not overnight, but I just knew the 5th grade Chris, and then this, all parts of man Chris. And so those transformations are always like kind of fun to explore.
Right.
So let's just focus on like the physical right now. Like, why did you get into that?
That's funny because that experience you just described is exactly what happened to me. Because did you ever meet Chris Burnett?
The name sounds... Was he tall?
Yeah.
Was he Chewbacca?
I don't know if he was Chewbacca, but we referred to him as Canadian Chris because I was Mexican Chris.
Okay.
But anyways, the point is, similar story with Chris, right? In high school when I knew him, because that's around the time I met him, also kind of a heavyset guy. I moved to New Mexico because that's where we met. All of us met in Colorado. So I moved to New Mexico for a spell. And I went to visit back Colorado. I think it was actually around the time I went to visit for high school graduation. Because I went to visit and watch all of you guys graduate from the high school we all went to. Because you went
Doherty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I didn't get to graduate from there since I moved. So my graduation was first. I went back. And there's Chris, like with the body of a Greek god, right? Like pure muscle, like even more so than me. Like you can describe me well all you want. This guy was ripped, okay? And so I remember like being like, dude, how did you do that? And he just said like, I just had to focus down, clean eating and working out hard and stuff like that. And that was my inspiration. I'm like, if this kid could do it, I can too. Now my goal was different. He bulked up, and at the time I wasn't as interested in becoming as muscular. I just wanted to lose weight, so I started eating healthy. I did Herbalife for a little bit. I don't even know if that thing still exists, but that helped me out a lot to get all the nutrients I needed while decreasing my caloric intake. Mm-hmm. I started working out in college. It was a lot more cardio focused, a lot of running, I did Insanity for a good amount of time. And that helped me gain muscle, but I started to really just shed the weight I had. And I mean, it kind of just became a lifestyle at this point. Like, that was well over 10 years ago now. The difference was eventually I started being more interested in weightlifting, and I started bulking up more. I'm actually slimmer than I was like a year ago. But it was just that, like, just seeing somebody else be able to do it kind of inspired me to do it, especially when it wasn't like theoretical. It wasn't seeing it online and seeing some guy tell this story. It was someone I knew, right? And the personal relationship is always what motivates you more. When you know someone do it who was in a similar state as you, some differences, sure, but similar, that kind of inspires you way more than seeing, I guess the term would be now, seeing an influencer do it, right?
Yeah, because it's more real.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And with influencers, they're only showing you what they want you to see, whereas with someone you're able to see every aspect of it. Well, a lot more, right? You're not with them all the time, right? But you're able to see more of their journey and how they went there.
No, one thing that I was never like an out of shape guy, but I've never been a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a really fit guy, but I've never been like, nah. but I kind of let myself go a little bit. Gained a little weight. Not been as strong as I have been. And about 6 months ago, I'm like, I cannot let myself go.
Mm-hmm.
This is where people get fat and sloppy. I'm 32, and you're about the same age, right? So I started like calisthenics again, and I'm back to like push-ups, sit-ups, squats, running, and supplementing at the gym too with weights. And one thing I've noticed is just the kind of the mental power, specifically with like sprinting in the past few days. The level of focus, because I'm just doing sprints on the sidewalk, so like people could come by and honk or yell at me, and I'm sure it's eventually going to happen because that's what would happen when I was always on my bike. But the level of don't give a damn that I have when I'm trying to go as fast as I physically can is really powerful, and I want that. I'm specifically trying to develop that mental conditioning for the rest of my life, because I see how easily distracted I am just on my phone, or by, I don't know, being afraid of what this random stranger on the sidewalk is going to think I'm up to. So my question to you is, what has been the kind of the mental carryover from the physical training? Like, do you feel like you are mentally stronger now as well?
Sure, but I don't know if I would ascribe it to just working out. I think just in general, as you grow older, you stop caring so much about what people think, and I mean, to some extent that might not always go away, and it changes from person to person. But I mean, even when I was working out back then, like 10 years ago, I still cared what people thought. I mean, that was one of the reasons I started working out, was I was like embarrassed of what I looked like, and all that shame came from like middle school and stuff like that, not so much high school. Nobody really ever said anything or anything like that, but I just carried over that guilt or shame from being overweight from elementary school, middle school, and stuff like that. So I don't know if, I'm sure like for some people working out is something that helps them a lot mentally, and I mean it helps you mentally, with anxiety and stuff like that in that regard. But I think just aging as well has helped me just kind of develop that sense of, when you have a mortgage and you're trying to, cultivate a love life and trying to hang out with friends and trying to establish your career, you don't have time to care what anybody cares about because you're too tired to do it anyways.
It's almost, one thing I've been thinking about is it's almost like another puberty or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like the physical changes I'm going through right now, like losing my hair and I don't know, whatever else happens around the age of 30, where they say, you start changing as a man, maybe as a woman too. I feel like that's affecting me a lot mentally too. Like things that I haven't necessarily worked on that much mentally have been changing. Like not caring as much about what people think.
Right.
Caring more about what I want. And this I can specifically attribute to losing my hair, because I'm like, man, I'm dying either way. Whether like, it just gave me more urgency, my mortality. So that really was a blessing in disguise to start losing my hair so relatively early. So yeah, I didn't expect you to say that, but I found that to be true as well.
Yeah, and I mean it's something that just kind of happens gradually, right? Like you can't really even tell when it's happening, and it's just one of those things I realized, like mentioning as you're going into your 30s or whatnot, one of the things I notice the most is how tired I am, like perpetually. Like it's just my natural state of being tired and sleepy, and having to find the energy to do things like even just coming to here like after work, and even that's a challenge. But it's like, there's certain things that you want to do and you just kind of fight through it, and generally speaking that exhaustion will be there in the background, but you can kind of ignore it, if that makes sense. But there's other things where maybe that exhaustion is helpful because you stop caring. Like I don't have the energy to care what your opinion is of me because I'm just too tired to care. I'd rather just kind of live my life as is, right? I mean, there's pros and cons to that, right? Just, at least that's my experience, right? What I've gotten.
Yeah, man, that's an interesting observation. Again, really surprising, but I've definitely found that to be the case too. I wish we had more time to open up that vein, but I'm looking at the numbers here. And we got about 30 seconds left, so let me use that to say thank you. I'm so happy that I ran into you, even if we don't hang out again. I'm glad this happened, but I hope we do, and I hope we can stay in contact, man.
For sure, man.
All right, bro.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.
Peace out to your homies.
Thank you for coming on the show.
No worries.